What methods can you perhaps even buy in the form of guides or expertise from others, namely selling counterfeit goods? For $50, we got an e-commerce guide for fake items. I bought a guide on the topic of credit card cash out. I tested methods to make money online from the darknet. For this, I looked around in forums, bought guides, and set up fraudulent schemes according to instructions. What's behind it? How money is made here? You will find out now. However, especially today. Please do not try this at home. In the Netflix documentary Shiny Flakes, Max S. earns $4 million in Bitcoin from his childhood bedroom. By dealing narcotics, Martin Frost, who has been our guest multiple times, had $100 million in his crypto wallet at the time of his arrest. And online, people talk about billions being traded on darknet marketplaces, and more or less anonymously, Monero or Bitcoin as payment methods, various wallets, Jabba, Telegram for communication, burner phones, virtual phone numbers. We've already had all of this in our experiments, but today we want to take it a step further, go a bit deeper, and most importantly, switch sides. Let's take a look at what other methods are used to make money. What methods can you perhaps even buy in the form of guides or expertise from others, and we'll find scams that aren't really out there yet. I'll log in, see what I can find, and we'll dive in. So update number 1. Your hobby fraudster in the name of science has made a discovery. And I have to say, I always find it shocking how openly, detailed, and ruthlessly crimes are discussed on the darknet. My first stop was a forum that I already knew and where I am also verified. However, to access the download section, you need a certain number of posts. So I first learned about it last night. I looked around and found this TXT quite interesting. It could be downloaded for free and provides a simple guide for a method to get paid apps from the Google Play Store for free. You can use them yourself or theoretically resell them. Since I only have an iPhone, my accomplice Chris had to step in with his Android again, and then we simply downloaded Total Commander. It's basically a file explorer. Then we picked a paid app from the Play Store, in this case Skydancer Premium, and just paid for it through the phone bill for 99 cents. And then we went back into Total Commander, searched for the app, copied it to the clipboard, and simply saved it in a different location. This way, you get the APK. Then we went back to the Play Store, requested a refund, which can be done within a 2-hour window. And after this SMS, the app was also deleted. And even when you went into Total Commander, there was an error message, but you could actually run it in the Data Explorer. We manually deleted them, of course, because the whole thing is illegal. But I have to say, method 1 actually worked. Then there was a guide available on this marketplace for $80, which supposedly teaches a legal method to make money online. The seller even advertises a refund if it doesn't work, and you can prove it. But it's on the dark web. I have to say, if you take a closer look at Angrub, then this easy money image, which you can find in the second row of Google Images, and the claim that there are only 14 copies left of this digital product don't seem all that credible. Nevertheless, we naturally wanted to know what was behind it. So we paid, received a zip file, and it contains 11 modules. These are just PDFs. Inside them, the topic is trading and apparently a very specific strategy that somehow no one knows about. Since we are not experts and have always relied on bots or copy trading methods, I sent the whole thing to our YouTube colleague Hoss. He said he would take a look at it calmly tomorrow morning and then explain to me exactly what's behind it in the Zoom call. With that done, we now have enough time for another scam, namely selling counterfeit goods. For $50, we got an e-commerce guide for fake items. Let's take a look at it, and apparently we'll soon be selling goods that we don't even own. Update number 2. Big bang in the tank. That's exactly how this guide starts, and we spent quite a while on it. In the end, it is described in great detail how to sell counterfeit popular sneaker models on eBay. The manufacturer claims to have made 5 figures in the first month. Included is a separate list of links with an overview of shops that sell replicas, which are allegedly made in the same factory as the originals, so that an expert probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They call the whole thing Authentic Fakes Co. I definitely want to try it out, which is why I immediately ordered a few via Express. Step 2 is to acquire a throwaway eBay account and verify it with an anonymous SIM card and an unlocked form, or buy one directly verified on the darknet. When you search for eBay, you mostly find classified ad accounts in the marketplaces. You're more likely to find what you need in the forums, where they sell for $6. We also created our own dummy account and just bought a phone number for $5, and I have to say, it worked pretty simply. Then you also need a verified PayPal account where the money will go at the end of the day, of course. On the first marketplace, we got scammed right away. We shopped for $55 and never received access. In the other one, however, there were even 2 verified PayPal accounts for $10 and we received the login shortly after. However, there was a note that made us a bit thoughtful. It said to log in only between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. New York time, and definitely only once a day, otherwise you would be considered suspicious. And step number 3 is the final touch for the complete scam. Fake an invoice and shipping email and buy original boxes if none are sent with the replicas from the shop. We tried that too. The email you see here is a Photoshop screen of it. You can of course send it to people like this, and there are plenty of fake receipt generators. The very first one worked and it already looks real. And Yeezy boxes on eBay in case of emergency. Otherwise, he also says that you should definitely offer free shipping in the listing. This attracts more people, and you should always answer questions and even allow a refund. That means if someone says, "Hey, I think these are fake," it's better to refund the money and relist the item because he says 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 would report it, but the others won't. So why risk the account and the good reviews? Yeah, I also found his final words at the very bottom quite interesting. It was essentially a reframing where he says, you know what, you don't have to feel guilty at all. The real fraudsters are actually the people at Adidas. These things are made for 5 cents and sold for 200. What we are doing is actually just a result of exactly that. Well, whether it can really be seen that way, I'll leave that open for now. I'm curious to see how the shoes look. And now folks, I'm jumping into a Zoom call with dear Hoss, who has watched the entire trading guide, and we'll see if it's really easy money.
You mentioned that you took a quick look at the PDF. What's your first impression? What do you think about this strategy?
First of all, I have to say I expected much worse when I opened this PDF in terms of the content beyond the strategy, because in the PDF, it is indeed about a specific strategy that addresses these trading gaps in the DAX and tries to develop a strategy or a system. But it also covers a lot of the fundamental principles behind it, like needing proper risk management, building a system that you follow, tracking your trades, and then improving them. These principles are also present in the ebook alongside the actual strategy. And the fact that they are included in this form is something you don't find in most, let's say, scammy, get-rich-quick strategies that promise you'll make a lot of money easily. Ebooks, no, I thought right away, hey, that can't be with the price you mentioned. Someone probably ripped it off and then sold it somewhere else for less.
You also say that this is probably a relatively good ebook. It might even be worth a bit more. He just sells it for cheaper. He's really putting it out there for under $100. That means the information is okay, but it's not really this strategy for easy money and a legal method. It's actually just a framework. And I would say the most important parameters are missing. People do learn something, which isn't really wrong, but as beginners, they can't really do much with it.
That is exactly the main problem, because even if they learn the surrounding concepts, when they approach a strategy with certain expectations, they can't even explain the strategy because the author can't explain why the strategy should work or make any sense at all, then the strategy is not successful. I believe that is the worst possible start to any trading strategy or system. At some point, it has to make sense, and then you have to adjust it so that the sense is reflected in the form of results and not just in your thoughts.
Update number 3, and you can already see, folks, the shoes have arrived. I personally couldn't tell what's fake and what's original, but I'm not an expert either. So I took some pictures of it and sent them to Dear Wadi. Of course, he doesn't know that we're filming this video. I just said it might be for a YouTube video. And he sent me the following voice message.
I think you can see it right away. I've seen you sand off them. It's hard to say why, but I'll try to explain it to you. The white stripe, that's a first indicator I can see right away. Hey, it's misplaced. This causes pattern errors at the back and front of the shoe. This fake 350 also just looks weird. Maybe it only looks that way in the photo, but the shade of red doesn't match. The shoelaces don't match, and the shape isn't quite right either. The seam above the shoelaces looks very messy. And with the real one, it's done much better because it was, of course, original. In this case, it's a fake U-sand.
So even the expert eye did not find them satisfactory. Therefore, to be honest, as described in the guide, I can't imagine that only 1 in 20 would really complain about it. But of course, we won't sell them anyway because selling counterfeits is illegal. And the guide, which is also promoted here as the ER method, doesn't work anymore anyway, since eBay already prohibited sellers from using PayPal in mid-2021. In other words, you would first need to convince people in the DMs to switch to PayPal. And honestly, the moment someone asks me, hey, should we use PayPal for the payment instead of credit card, bank account, and so on, it already smells fishy. On top of that, your account will very likely get banned sooner or later anyway. In another forum, I found a social engineering guide that explains how to scam companies out of goods. The whole thing was free, but it was behind a verification. In the end, 3 methods are presented. One example is the so-called stale food method, where you simply buy a food item and claim it wasn't packaged hygienically enough, was open, or made you sick. You call, send an email, and then you get the same item sent to you for free. Number 2 is the missing item method, where you order something, for example, 5 items, and simply claim that the most expensive one was not included. You must, of course, pay attention to the weight. Here, a deviation of a maximum of 120 G is mentioned. Then you write that it wasn't there, and in most cases, it will probably be refunded. And number 3 is the sealed box, where the idea is that you order multiple items, ideally. Then you take out the most expensive item, replace it with something of no value to match the weight, send it back, and get a refund. Yes, that's not really something new, and the first one will probably work once or twice, but after that, your account will just get suspended because they somehow note that, hey, this person is constantly making complaints. And for methods 2 and 3, there are some articles and forum posts where people, for example, exploit this lenient return policy at Amazon. However, you really need to think twice about whether you want to risk a report or even a lifetime ban. I have to be honest, the whole thing sounds more like a guide for hobby gangsters with too much time on their hands, who end up sitting there and getting a few cookies for free. Finally, because many in the community wanted to see it and kept commenting about it, I bought a guide on the topic of credit card cash out. Essentially, it explains how to withdraw money from stolen credit cards. And I can also mention at this point that we have, of course, checked it, because fortunately this method does not work in Germany. First, services like phone blur or SMS codes are used to obscure personal data. Then you will need a printer and glossy photo paper to fake IDs later. We will not show you the guide for that. Then you acquire various identities, for example. We once checked on the Telegram black market and found many people who would give their ID card for 50 and so on. Or he even says here himself, he goes out on the street and asks the homeless. Then you check your own system with tools like, for example, Browser Leaks or also hr.net.com, which are honestly quite useful sites. Then create at EG. Create an account for a virtual credit card at Moneyline or GoToBank, make a Hotmail or Outlook account, go to Handycom, do Become a Pro, which is essentially a handyman cleaning service, complete the quiz, say you are a cleaning service, download the app on a burner phone, then you have to do the ID verification with the fake ID, I won't say much about that, and then you should be approved relatively quickly. You verify yourself, go to rate and availability, select everything as if you were basically a cleaning service yourself, specify the market rate, service and fee area. That's why it doesn't work. It's best to use the same postal codes as mentioned, and then you hire people and pay them with these fake credit cards, and that's how you build a fake business with multiple employees, where you are actually the only one behind it and just use the IDs of homeless people. Well, we got scammed for 1/3. Another third was sobering because there wasn't really much behind it. And 1/3 was frightening because, for example, with the cash out guide, I can theoretically imagine that it really works that way. But you have to put yourself in the shoes of people who risk their entire existence and life by trusting a guide that can be bought for a few dollars on the darknet. Feel free to write in the comments, what is your opinion on this? That's it for this video. I hope, as always, that you enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and now we'll link you to another video that you might also enjoy.